Is there a story in the travel industry that's bigger than Cuba right now? I mean, it's every time you turn on the TV, it's Cuba, Kardashians, Chanel, the Rolling Stones. Is there an impression out in the marketplace, Nicole, that because of that, and of course the American travelers now being able to go, that it's changing the lay of the land for our own Canadian passengers?
I think you hit the nail on the head there when you mentioned perception.
Okay.
Because I do agree that some people are thinking that the Cuba we know and love has changed, or it's changing very quickly. And that's not the case at all. It is true that Americans have started to travel, although they're traveling in such small numbers, and pretty much always traveling to Havana right now. Right. There's over 1 million Canadians that travel to Cuba each and every year for their vacation, and we don't have any reason to think that that's going to change at all. And at Transat, we were one of the first Canadian tour operators to really forge strong relationships in Cuba. So we have a great advantage that we know there's going to be product there for us. They want our aircraft into Cuba. Cuba is really reliant quite a bit on the tourism industry, and they're not going to turn their backs on Canadians who, like I said, have loved and traveled to Cuba for so many years now.
There's really a very special relationship, I think, between Canadians and Cuba. You have Canadians who have traveled there hundreds of times. I think there's a feeling of ownership around that being sort of our destination, our island. And but I think the beach product has not changed and unlikely to change.
Absolutely. What we do see is the fact that so many hotels are developing and putting money into their infrastructure to give an even better vacation experience to Canadian travelers. We offer 6 different collections, and every single collection has Cuban properties in the collection. So I think that really speaks to the broad appeal of Cuba. Whether you want a beautiful beach vacation, that's great, you can get that. More and more people are traveling to Havana. A lot of people do want to see Havana very quickly before and if any changes happen to that great city. And we've actually increased our lift into Havana this year to give that, to respond to that demand.
All right, so let's talk more specifically about the Cuba product for Transat.
Excellent. So our Cuban program, we have 17 different gateways where we offer direct lift to Cuba. We have 7 different destinations within Cuba. So as I mentioned, it really can be tailored to whatever type of vacation somebody is looking for. In our children's program, so it's the Transat Kids Collection, there are 30 hotels in Cuba represented in that collection. We have over 100 Cuban properties to choose from. And this year, we're increasing what we call our Travel Differently program. So we have the opportunity for Canadians to go stay in an apartment or even a house. So they're self-sufficient, there's grocery stores next door. And as you mentioned, we do feel a bit of an ownership that Cuba is our destination, it's our island. So a really unique and authentic experience would be to travel to one of Transat's apartments, to stay there and live more like a local.
Yeah, I know it's an amazing opportunity. And really, in a way, Americans are showing us the way because they're keen to know the real Cuba, to know Havana, to know the history, and we're so used to it as a beach destination that it is an opportunity. It is opening our eyes, I think, to all of the opportunities to see more.
You're right. More and more people are saying that they're putting Havana on their bucket list. And besides Havana, of course, looking at a Cuban holiday in Holguin versus Camagüey versus Veradero, they're very different spots to visit.
And Santiago de Cuba apparently too. Fantastic destination with a lot of history.
Yes. Cuba for sure has a lot of history, a lot of culture. It's more than a beach destination. It still represents great value for Canadians. It is really the #1 spot for so many Canadians, and we know all the reasons why.
Thank you for coming in and reminding us that it's still our Cuba if we want to make it be that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Nina.